Hi, we're getting along in the book now, Preparatory Melodies to Solo Work. This is number 37. And another thing I like about this book is that there are things in all different styles with various technical challenges that come along with them. So I'm going to attempt to play through this one. And I think you'll see some of the challenges right away, and then we'll kind of dig in and look at how we might go about practicing those things to gain the necessary skill to play the music faithfully. So here goes. Number 37, this is entitled Brioso, which means with fire. I'm not sure if I can get that to happen, but here goes. Whew. That one's a little bit of a scuffle. Obviously, you can hear some of the technical challenges in it, and polishing that up, and especially getting it to the point where there are no fears, there are no anxieties, there are no there's no sense of gee, I hope this works. There are no little demons lurking in the back of your mind saying you're going to screw up. You know, it can become a psychological problem when we practice in such a way that we're kind of reinforcing to ourselves, we're kind of teaching ourselves, you know, you're not doing it, you're failing. So you want to practice in such a way that allows you to have success all the time. And this means gradual, incremental changes in the quality of specific things. And again, we want to let the music inspire us here. So what are we doing? So we have a continually ascending line, and we have a gradual increase in dynamic intensity that goes along with that. It's very natural. So this one has many ingredients in it, and we could talk about those, but what I want to do is focus in on the places, the two spots where most people are going to have trouble. Obviously, dynamic contrast is an area where a lot of people are going to have find a challenge. But here it's gradual. So one of the ways you can practice that, just as a general thing, and let's look at this spot, what is it, on the end of the second line at piano, you have this figure. All you're doing is gradual crescendo, ascending line, but it keeps on changing direction, and obviously this is what makes it technically difficult. So what I try and do is get first the contour of the line, which is just the most basic shape. And that puts me in the right position. You're always going ahead. So I play the scale, but I need to be ready at the end of that scale, whether I take a breath or not, to blow through the high A on the next line. So why is this difficult? There are a couple of reasons. One is we see staccato, we see piano, so we tend to kind of close down. And if you stay open, now you're not moving much air. I'm moving a tremendous quantity of air. But when you're actually playing it, there's very little air moving. But if you don't stay open, if you close down in order to play soft, in other words, then you're going to have to push in order to open things back up again. And this is a very awkward thing to do. So first get the transition in range and the transition in dynamics to be comfortable just by playing up that scale. Now this is something you should be doing in your warm-up exercises when you work on your scales, is trying to even smooth out the changes in range and changes in dynamics. So don't always play your scales and your arpeggios at the same dynamic all the time. Doing this kind of thing that you see in music a lot, where there's a gradual change in dynamics, apply that to your warm-up exercises. Then you're giving your body a lot of repetitions and opportunities to figure out how to get more skilled. And it'll happen automatically. It's just you have to give clear instructions about, okay, now this is what we're trying to do as you go forward. The next line is also interesting because it starts and then descends, starts in the upper register and descends, and then it goes back up. So these changes of direction are what make this particular one difficult for a lot of people to play. It's very difficult to explain, but I'm equalizing the forces. You have a certain force in terms of how much compression you're making, and then you have force in terms of, or energy, in terms of the flow. I'm trying to equalize those. When we go up in range, there's a tendency to let the pressure back up. In other words, you're decreasing the flow, and it happens automatically, and that pressure starts to build. So I'm trying to moderate that to a little degree, which means as I change range, I have less trouble. Now, great thing to do is just do your interval exercises. For example, right out of the Arban book. That kind of exercise, slowly at first, until you get your sense of balance and it's comfortable and you have one continuous line of sound, just as if you were singing or speaking, just like I'm doing right now. One continuous line of sound production with no breaks, no bumps, no hitches, no dead spots. That's the starting point for this technique. Now, one more thing, we'll go to the end. This is the place that I find to be the most difficult. This is another etude that I have a star by. So it's that last line. So that's piano. Then it's marked double P. That's hard because most of us tend to go, we're trying to push the air too hard. We're trying to force, or end up trying to force air through the embouchure. Everything becomes destabilized. So slow practice is necessary here. I'm going to give you a little skill, little approach that will help you develop this skill. When you change direction, take your time. So at the higher note, at the change of direction, stabilize, listen to the sound, pay attention to the sense of balance and competence, in your body. Are you making it happen, or are you allowing it to happen? Is it stabilizing? When it's stable, then you can feel I'm ready to make the shift to the lower note. And if you don't do that, then the tension, this holding on tendency is going to build all the way through, make it very difficult to play in the upper register. One more thing, then I'll let you go. I like to practice this by sustaining on the upper notes and then sustaining on the lower notes. That goes right along with what I just said, but especially at the peak and at the beginning. So. If you have the whole range connected, then this is not so difficult to play. So I'll test myself. I'll go through and play it. See, now I'm starting to choke, but when I played that high C, I was playing it open. So these are things you have to kind of look at yourself honestly, look deeply, listen carefully, and you can work out these problems. Anyone can work out these problems. It just takes a great deal of concentration in listening and paying attention to what your body is telling you. People who have that ability in abundance naturally, you might call those natural players. Just like what we call a natural athlete. It's someone who has this awareness. So you're trying to develop the awareness, and you can do that through patient practice. Okay, that's enough work on this one today. We'll look at something a little bit more relaxing next time. Okay, have a great day. I'll see you later on. Bye-bye.